Hello, everyone. My name is Andre, and welcome to the PDHPE Pulse podcast. Today, special guest, someone from overseas today. We are chatting to Ben Holden from the UK. Ben Holden is the author of the best-selling book, Want to Teach PE, and a respected educator, international presenter, and passionate advocate for high-quality physical education. With more than 15 years as head of physical education in the northeast of England, Ben has built a reputation for developing outstanding teaching practices, mentoring the next generation of educators, and helping schools create meaningful PE experiences for every student. His work extends far beyond the classroom. He serves as chair for the International School Sports Federation Committee, is an educational consultant, and has delivered professional learning to teachers across more than 15 countries, including Brazil, Kenya, Serbia, and Cyprus. Ben Holden, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Really excited on getting stuck in. This is my first podcast of a few guys in Australia, and yes, I know we'll just get stuck into lots of different topics, and hopefully in the next 30, 40 minutes, however long we chew the fat for, we'll have plenty to reflect upon and explore within the world of physical education and our young people.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. And that's, I love connecting with people globally about physical education because we all want the same thing. We all want the best, the best sport outcomes, the best movement outcomes for all our students. And I feel that no matter who you speak to in any country, it's the same thing. We want to make it fun. We want to make it enjoyable. We want to make it engaging. And we want teachers to want to do it as well. Ben, tell us about yourself. You are one of those rare teachers that have exited teaching and are really doing incredible things in this space. So tell us a bit about yourself. What's your journey to this point?
Yeah, I suppose we've got to start with the irony that I'm all about want to teach PE and want to lead PE, and then I'm somebody that's exited PE. So hopefully the listeners will forgive me for that. But my journey was, as you said, I was head of PE in a secondary school in the northeast of England. I trained at York St John, moved up to Durham, and then after kind of the York St John era, I managed to get out to the United States and do a bit sort of soccer coaching for MLS camps. So all of those experiences, all woven in, made me think, you know what, PE teaching is probably a career that, once again, it brings in my kind of passion, but it also brings in my skill sets that I think I developed through coaching soccer out in the States. So yeah, 15 years down the line, I was getting to that kind of Groundhog Day kind of moment. My commute into school was an hour. I was leaving before the children were getting out of bed. I was getting back in when they were in bed. I was missing my own children growing up. And I was thinking, you know what, if there's an opportunity to maybe do something slightly different, I need to explore it. And then around COVID times, do you know when everyone got sick of like doing Zoom quizzes with their friends and that type of thing? I thought, you know what, let's use this time a little bit more productively. I got out the laptop and started writing Want to Teach PE. And then after the first day, I had 500 words. Then the first week, I had 2,000 words. And then 18 months later, I had 70 odd thousand words. And I thought, you know what, I'm really proud of this book. I'm proud that I've been able to get it out there to the masses. And through the social media that kind of supported the book, different organisations got in touch, such as the ISF that you mentioned in the intro. And then I thought, you know what, there's potentially a bit of a market gap here in the UK and internationally to get out there and work with different educators, try and get my passion for high quality physical education across, my expertise around pedagogy, inclusion, engagement of young people as well. And I thought, you know what, and that was in 2023. I took the plunge to step out of full-time teaching, become self-employed as an educational consultant. And yeah, I'm just now all about growing my network, trying to work with as many different people in as many different settings as possible. And so far, so good. I feel very privileged that this is what I now get to call a job. And and it's brought us together today, Andre, on the pod.
Oh, and I'm so thrilled we get to connect like this because you are teacher envy. A lot of colleagues of mine and teachers have that beautiful idea of writing a book and engaging with other teachers and really building them up. So you are certainly teacher envy in Australia, and I love it. I don't know about you, but the climate of PE in Australia is a bit hit and miss. There are some schools that really dive into it and push it really hard, and they enjoy it and they embrace it. And there are some schools where, if we've need to replace something, PE is the one that usually needs to go. And I'm a PE specialist in primary, so I'm super passionate about you can't miss it. We can't swap it for anything. If it's on the timetable, it's on the timetable. What's the climate like for PE in the UK, particularly in primary school and high school? Is it highly supportive?
Tough one to answer. Very dependent on context. Very
Yep.
dependent on, as you mentioned, the senior leaders' perceptions around physical education. And I genuinely think that the senior leaders, the decision makers in school, their childhood experiences of PE shape their thinking now into adulthood. And that goes the same for the parents as well. Like a lot of parents of these young people, their experience as a child tends to shape what they feel towards physical education for their children in 2026 and beyond. So in terms of the climate, it's very, very mixed. There's some schools that are very front foot, that place PE at the heart of everything they do in the school. Now, I think back to my dissertation. I did my dissertation around healthy mind, healthy body, about the link between the most physically active being the most academically successful. And I think we all know the power of PE. On this pod, I'm talking to the converted. I'm talking to those people that really recognize and value how important a positive PE experience is for our children. And the fact that if our children are healthier, they've got a positive relationship with movement, they're going to take that into the classroom as being somebody who's more focused, is able to concentrate, is able to be alert. And sadly, that is not shared by everybody in the UK. Now, there's a funding kind of model in the UK at the minute that is just changing as well, which is bringing a lot of uncertainty. Now, we have what's called the PE premium, which in the past was given directly to the primary schools, and they could spend that how they wanted. The challenge has been here in the UK that some schools have done it brilliantly. Some schools have really gone out there and sourced proper high quality CPD to train up the members of staff in the school to be able to deliver high quality PE lessons. But others have used it to pay for cover and to pay for PPA cover, and then got somebody to come in and deliver the PE lessons, and it's been quite low quality. So I think now government are recognising that, and now they're going to be shifting the funding model to more to secondaries, to what we call school sports partnerships, to have that ownership and control of the funding, who will then be able to work with the primary schools, potentially send in more PE specialists that are secondary trained to go into our primaries. So all of that mixed in, senior leader perception, parent perception, funding uncertainty, is placing the climate of PE in the UK at the minute in a really kind of uncertain kind of few months. And that uncertainty is not helpful for our young people, because now schools are holding back on spending money on the next big project, or refurbishing equipment, or building up the stockpile in the store cupboard of the new equipment, because people don't know how long they're going to have this money for. So that uncertainty hopefully will be clarified soon. I think we're expecting an announcement shortly from the government exactly what's going to happen with this funding. But I mean, the overall vibe in this country is school to school differences are huge. There's one school, let's say in my village down the road, that PE is absolutely at the heart of it. It's protected. My children go to that school. They get 2 hours of high quality PE a week. There's a curriculum that is engaging. It's modern. They get extracurricular opportunities to go and represent their school. But then there's a school 2 miles up the road, let's say, that doesn't get that same opportunity. And PE is often the first thing to be canned. And then it's the end of the year. We need the sports hall space for the year 6 show. So everything's cancelled, so the year 6s can rehearse for the end of year show, and PE's not happened for 3 or 4 weeks. Those school to school differences are nationwide, and it's that lack of equity for the young people in this country that I think is a real challenge. Some people are getting a great experience. Some young people are really enjoying the full 7 or 8 years in primary, and the 7 years in secondary school is really positive. And then sadly, because of all those factors I've mentioned, down the road it'll be slightly different. And I think the next step, hopefully, that this funding shift will bring in the UK is that there will be equity for all children, not dependent on whether you've got a head teacher that is an advocate for it or not. hopefully that's the next step, that every single child in this country has the same access to high quality PE and extracurricular sport. So fingers crossed that happens. Time will tell.
Absolutely, fingers crossed. And I really feel for you because there are a lot of similarities from what you're experiencing, that we have in Australia as well. It's funny you mentioned about people's perception of PE. I've been in the privilege to do a number of lectures and tutorials at universities that look at primary PE, and there are classes that I've looked at activities and student teachers delivering activities, and they clearly don't like it because they have had a perception where they didn't like PE growing up, so they don't like the subject, and they have no intention of teaching the subject, nor do they have the intention of wanting to teach it well. And I think that's hard because you've seen in your experience, for some people, that 2 hours or 1 hour a week is everything to them. It's the one strength that they have, the movement and the connection that they build with their peers. It's so important. And, again, I'm just echoing you, preaching to the converted. I think we need to have high quality training for high quality delivery as well. I think my big thing on PE at the moment is that it needs to be delivered by PE teachers, not casuals, or casuals, yes. But if it's a full-time PE role, it has to be delivered by a PE specialist. We've got music specialists, we've got art specialists, we've got tech specialists. PE should be no different. And sorry, just getting on my soapbox as well, I wanted to comment as well on the fact that primary school is the one we engage them for the interest of pursuing sport. That's the time where they're finding, oh my gosh, I love cricket, I love football, I love rugby. Where can I go with this? That is the prime time where they explore, can I do something with this? This is fun. This is with friends. When it comes to PE, Ben, I was going to ask, with your time as a PE teacher and in leadership, you would have seen a number of pitfalls in education. What are some of those pitfalls, and I guess what are some tangible skills that we can take away from your experience of things that we can go, yep, we can keep an eye on that and apply?
Tough one. So in terms of the pitfalls, Wanna Teach PE was created to support the next generation of PE teachers. I'd mentored in excess of 15, 20 trainee PE teachers coming through the door, and I was becoming really disenchanted with their view of what PE actually is. I think they had this kind of hedonistic kind of viewpoint. Oh, I'm going to take the year 10 county football team. We're going to win all these trophies. It's going to be amazing. All the kids are going to love me. Wanna Teach PE was created to provide realism about what PE is all about. And certainly what I was trying, the key characteristics, the key values, the key skills that I wanted trainee PE teachers to look to harness and develop. Now, for me, number of key issues that the new generation of PE teachers are struggling with. Firstly is developing their subject knowledge and proactively developing their subject knowledge. People are coming into the profession as footballers. They might be coming in as netballers. They might be coming in as athletes. Now, sadly, you're not employed as a specialist football coach. You are a teacher of a full PE curriculum. Now,
absolutely.
For example, my background's football and cricket. They're my two main sports. But I had to proactively go out there and source subject knowledge development for dance, for gymnastics. We introduced a sports culture unit looking to bring in non-traditional curriculum ideas. Now, I didn't turn around to my head of PE when I was in my first couple of years of teaching and say, oh, I don't teach dance, because he'd have just laughed at me. I had to go away and I had to research and I had to go on the internet and I had to try and develop my own resources to be able to get through dance lessons as a non-dance specialist, because it was part of the overall PE curriculum. So I think that I don't think, and I sound like an old man saying this, the youth of today, these new PE teachers coming through the door, but I sometimes think that it's just going to be on a plate for them and they're just going to, oh, well, I don't teach dance. No, I've gone through and taught year 7, 8, 9, 6 weeks of work to boys groups in dance. And I had to go out there and find those ideas myself. So subject knowledge development is one that I think is a big pitfall. Secondly, I think some people almost neglect those soft teaching skills. And what I mean by that is it's things like have you got your equipment ready, and where is it? Where are my bibs? Where are my balls? What's the transition from that warm up into the first activity? And those kind of soft skills, I think, are getting lost. Because I watch some trainee PE teachers' lessons and I can see them scrabbling around in the cupboard for bibs halfway through. In the meantime, the kids are climbing up the climbing frame. Two of them have gone out to the toilet that they're not aware of, and they've lost control of that lesson. It's those soft skills about organising everything in your sports hall or on your field that's going to allow that smooth transition, but also soft skills like learning how to blow a whistle properly. Now, this sounds ridiculous. I watch PE teachers, and the P hardly hits the frame of the whistle. It's like, blow the whistle properly. Have a bit of presence, have a bit of oomph about you. Thinking about your body language. If I'm working with the really little guys, like the year ones, year twos, I'm 6'1". If I stand over them and talk like this, then the kids are going to be like, I don't really like you. So thinking about getting down on one knee, slowing down your voice, using your best tool, which is your voice, and thinking about how you sound and really emphasizing those words and telling that story. I think those skills in your trainee PE teachers are really, really lost and sometimes neglected and forgotten about. And you see these kind of guys that are just teaching in this monotone voice with this neutral body language, and they're wondering why they're not getting the buy-in from the children. So I think that's a real challenge as well. And finally, I think that, and I actually got this question quite recently in a school that I was working with here in the UK, said, Ben, I've got a young teacher who's really struggling to connect with the students, struggling to build those relationships. Now, I think some teachers think it's just going to happen like that. That because you're a PE teacher, you're the cool guy or the cool girl in school, that everybody's going to look at immediately and think, yeah, we love you. But you've got to take time to build those relationships, to build that trust in the young people. Even taking time when you're in the corridors or when you're in the canteen at lunch, just going over, oh, there's Tommy sat on his own. Hey, Tom, how are you doing? Oh, yeah, have you got a game this weekend? Oh, who are you playing? Oh, well, good luck. Brilliant. What position do you think you'll be playing? Left wing? Oh, well, make sure you use both feet. And then Tom goes away and thinks, oh, Mr. Holden really cares about me. And that took me 20 seconds out of my day to ask Tom about if he's got a game at the weekend and how he feels. The next time Tom comes into my PE lesson, he's going to have a spring in his step. He's going to get changed really quickly. He's going to be, right, sir, what are we doing today? And I think taking those moments to show that you care about these young people are an absolute superpower that a lot of PE teachers don't use. Because let's remember, you might be the only person on the planet that cares about that child. They might have a parent, grandparent at home that does not give a stuff about them, that doesn't go and watch their matches, that doesn't ask how they're doing in PE, that doesn't care where they are on an evening, as long as they're not in the face annoying them. So if you're that person, that safe person, that friendly face in the school for that child to connect with, that is a superpower. But you've got to almost consciously and actively think during your day, right, I'm going to go speak to that child, or I'm going to ask them how they're doing, or I'm going to create this particular lesson resource because I know it will engage them. Building those relationships and not taking it for granted and proactively doing it is what I think a lot of trainee PE teachers struggle with. So I would say from the actual pedagogy wise, they're the three main areas that I think PE teachers sometimes struggle with that are quite quick fixes as well. I think with a bit of thought and a bit of care, you can turn those barriers, smash them, and move forward with your teaching.
Ben, I couldn't agree with you more. It's like you've gone to my brain, you just shuffled my ideas and you've thrown them out. We see so eye to eye in that. And I am so passionate about making it fun. And I know, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, we have curriculum, we have assessment, we have all that. We totally know, we know that. That's why we've become a teacher, because we know we have a structure. But there is no reason why you can't make it fun. And it really gets to me at times when I've seen teachers have such dry lessons, and I just think there is so much innovation you can have right now. You can do so much with just adding one idea. And I just want to sort of echo what you said about building relationships. I've done a few workshops on building relationships as a teacher, and it comes down to exactly what you just said. Say hello. Just because you're not in class doesn't mean you are completely off barriers, like you're on barriers rather, talking to them. Make that small talk. Ask them how they're going. Hey, hey, Will, how's your older brother? How's your older sister going? Are they playing on the weekend? Talk to them, get to know them.
Yeah.
And what
On that as well,
yeah,
it's thinking about those first 10 seconds or that first minute in your lesson. Thinking about there's a guy here in the UK called Neil Moggan who's a brilliant guy, and he talks about like that friendly face right at the start of your lesson is so important. That smile, your body language, and thinking of my lessons in the UK, I'm stood at the changing room door, welcoming the children to physical education, welcoming them to my department with a smile, with a high five, with a fist pump is huge. And even if you've got that particular barrier where a child is 30 seconds late or they forgot their PE kit, as hard as it can be, don't focus on that negative straight away. And it's almost like you say about talking about the barriers, like, where's your kit? They're your wrong socks. Where have you been? Like that negativity. The child's like, I've just been told off in maths. I've been told off in English lesson 2. I got told off in the canteen. Now I'm coming to PE, which I really, really love. And now Mr. Holden's bothered about the fact that I've got one black sock on and one white sock on. As times think, what's the contextual win here? What's really important? We've got this child who's having a really tough time around school. Behaviour is an issue, punctuality is an issue, but in PE they're pretty good. And you know this is the place where they thrive, feel safe, feel comfortable. Ignore that white sock when it should be black. Ignore the black sock when it should be white. Get them in the door with a smile on your face. Wish them a happy day. Get them in the lesson. Get them moving. And then halfway through the lesson, when they're in, say, "Oh, look, just Tom, next time, like, have you got 2 black socks at home? Well, if you haven't, I've got some in the PE office. Come and see me. I'll get you some socks. Let's get..." And then it's done halfway through the lesson. You've got Tom in. He's up and running. He's moving. He's smiling. He's thriving. And you haven't built that brick wall barrier at the door at the start of the lesson, but you've still addressed it. You've still got your standards. You've still got your expectations. I'm not saying just let the kids arrive in whatever PE kit they want. You address it at that moment when you've won Tom. He's in, he's moving. Have that little chat with him. He'll really appreciate it. And it might be that he couldn't afford the socks. It might be that mum and dad don't even know where the socks are. So if you can provide that pair of socks after the lesson, happy days. You probably made Tom's world, and he's going to run through a brick wall for you for the rest of the year.
And it's those things that set up, and especially if they're younger, kinder, year 1, year 2, it's those moments that set up really good teaching standards for them when they get older. So when they're in year 5 and 6, they know the expectations, they know they feel safe, they know if they mess up, they can come to you and they're not going to get roused on. They know it's safe, that you're going to be supportive and kind, and you're looking out for them. Because I think we forget PE is more than just what they're moving. It is very much... it's the lifestyle that we want to create as well. And we want to create that that understanding that if they forget a sock, they can still do it. If they forget something, they can still do it. You still have the capacity to do it. One thing I want to add on, because you've mentioned so many good things, is that I'm a big guy on space presentation. I love setting up massive spaces with just things going on. They walk in and they go, wow, and they're looking around and they're so chuffed about what they could be doing. I know there's a term for it. There was a lecturer that mentioned this, and maybe you might know the term, but it refers to their general excitement and anticipation when they look at a learning space and get excited. I forgot the name, but that's super impactful in their learning, because then they get excited, they have questions, they start wondering. And I find those moments they're listening because they want to know what to do and they want to get straight into it. Particularly, I find that for gymnastics as well.
But you can win or lose that lesson in the first 10 seconds. As soon as they enter that sports hall or that hall, if you've taken, and the child values the time you've taken as a teacher. They might not say it, but they look and they think, you know what, Sir has taken a lot of time to get that climbing frame off the wall that's not been used for 10 years. He's got all the crash mats out, the cones. Do you know what he's even done with the cones? We've got a white section over there. We've got the green section, the blue. He's sorted all the cones out. And the children think, you know what, this teacher's organised, he's knowledgeable, and I feel safe and confident that this lesson is going to be fantastic. And so as you can really kind of capture that child, kidnap? No, but you can really hook them in that first 10 seconds. You're absolutely spot on. And children might not verbally come up to you and say, I just want to say, your sports hall looks brilliant, really top marks on your presentation, but you'll be able to tell with the face. You'll be able to tell in the body language and the spring in the step. So you're 100% on the money there,
Yeah.
Andre.
And you've probably got comments as well when you're speaking about students and they've mentioned, oh, such and such, Jack's been a bit of a scallywag in class and he was always misbehaving. And then they ask you what they're like. What are they like in PE? Fine. And they find that so hard to believe. And you just have those moments of just come watch, just see what they're doing, because this is their space. This is their space of where they thrive and they feel comfortable and they just want to keep pushing forward. I love this. I'd love the fact that it's so heartwarming talking to such like-minded, passionate individuals that just want to have good moments. And I think as well, and I think what I really love about your work that you're doing, particularly with Want to Teach P and all your upskilling, is that you try to make it fun for teachers. Not only do we want to make it fun for students, we're in the game for a long time. Like, this is my 12th year in PE teaching, and I still walk in, and when I'm planning a unit, I always think, I want to make this fun for me as well. I want to make it fun for my engagement of, if I'm enjoying what I'm teaching, I'm going to deliver it better. And I think that's one thing that you touched on with new teachers, is that they're delivering things that they're not understanding of, and they have to learn about the sport. I'm not a dancer. I am not a dancer by any skills, but when I write a dance unit, I still try to make it as fun as I can. And what you mentioned as well, and I think this is super powerful that everyone needs to hear, is you need to write for your context. If you've got your group of boys that none of them do dance, you can't expect them to do a whole show. You need to consider what you actually want to deliver, what they can deliver, meet in the middle, and just have fun. Get them to think something different of, you know what? We did a dance unit with Sir. It wasn't as bad as what we thought. It was actually pretty fun. It was a bit different, which is what you want, because, there's this perception of sports as well. You can't do it because it's this. It's not true. So I just love the fact that you're breaking those barriers of, we still have to keep upskilling. We still have to keep learning about different things.
Yeah, the context is so important. What we've got to remember is, like, I was 12 years old in 1996. That was a very different world. And my desires and my thoughts and what I wanted from PE in 1996 is very different to what the children of 2026 want and need. We've got to get away from thinking as well. And one of the best pieces of advice I ever received was, don't think that you're teaching the 12-year-old version of yourself. Don't imagine that every child, those 30 children you've got there, you've got 30 different parental perceptions about PE. You've got the children that do 5 days a week out of school at different sports clubs that are taken here, there, everywhere, that absolutely live and breathe it. We've got children that are ridiculously sedentary, who sit on iPads, sit on phones, do absolutely nothing. You've got such a multitude of different personalities, desires, skill levels, fitness levels in your class that is different to you. So just because, I enjoy my cricket, don't get me wrong, just because I enjoy cricket and I enjoy learning to bat and bowl in this particular way doesn't mean that automatically those 30 children are going to feel exactly the same as me. So how do we get around that? We get around it through observation. Watch the children, listen to the children. Do you do proactive pupil voice? It can be informal. It can be walking from the changing rooms to the sports hall. Or how did you think that lesson went today? What would you do differently? That really just feeding that information from them into your brain and putting that into your planning and your delivery is really, really important. And the second thing, I mentioned the different times that I grew up in the mid-90s compared to children of 2026. We think about that dance example once again, getting them on board with the latest TikTok trend, you're going to win them. Like, if I'm doing a dance unit and I start, who am I going to put? I tell you what, I used to like Take That back in the day. Right, lads, here we go. We're going to do we're going to do a dance we're going to do it to Relight My Fire. The lads are going to go, sir, what are you on about? What is this rubbish music you're putting on here? But if I go on TikTok and I look at the latest dance trend that everybody's doing, like scuba or doing the griddy or doing dabs or whatever, or sig feb, all that kind of nonsense, and weaving them into the dance lesson, the lads are going to be like, oh, we saw this on TikTok. Oh, yeah, right. Get in a group of 5, get in a group of 6, 30 seconds worth of music. You're going to create your own TikTok-inspired dance routine. They're going to be like, this is amazing. Yeah, we love this. We've seen it on YouTube. So thinking about how to make it relevant to the children of 2026 is another untapped superpower that certainly I think the older PE teaching generation potentially don't do. It's that old phrase that is so dangerous to the quality of PE, which is the PE teacher thinking, well, I like what I like what I know, and I know what I like, right?
Yeah, I've heard
That
as
kind
well.
of same old, they've done it for years, they've been teaching this way for 20 years. Well, unfortunately, the world's moved on. Young people have moved on. Continuously reinventing yourself as a PE teacher is what keeps you fresh. You've mentioned there about making it fun for the teacher as well. No better feeling as a PE teacher when you go away and you try a brand new lesson and it absolutely smashes it out the park. And you come back in and you want to tell somebody, don't you? You go back in the PE office and you're like, I just tried this with year 8. They absolutely loved it. You should come out and look at it next time. It's brilliant. And you get that buzz. And you go in or you drive home from the work in the car on the night and you sit to yourself and you think, that was brilliant today. I really enjoyed that. That's what keeps you coming back in with that spring on your step. So taking the time to do that as a practitioner, thinking about, you know what, I'm going to take a risk. Instead of that athletics lesson, I'm on 200 meters. I always do this particular warm up, building into competition. I'm going to rip it up and I'm going to do something completely different. And when it lands, what a feeling. So thinking about that reinvention and those taking risks is what every PE teacher should try and do.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And as you were talking, a thought came in my head as well. And I've got to answer this as well, and I wanted to get your thoughts, is that coming into PE as a new teacher, or even as an experienced teacher, do you think some teachers, and I have 100% fallen into this category at times, where we need to get our expectations in check. There are some times where we feel, I've taught overarm throwing in 2 lessons. I can't believe they still have it. I think I fall into this trap in my younger days where just because I've taught it, it's now mastered. Like, I don't have to do it ever again. I think, alternatively, we think that they're better than what they actually are. And I think as teachers, we need to really keep our expectations in check of that. Just because we've taught it, it doesn't mean they've got it. You know, we've seen kids in year 2 and they still aren't doing their shoelaces, but they wear their laced shoes every single day. We also need to have that patience of they will get it eventually. In your experience, have you seen teachers, or have you even fallen in that trap of just thinking, all right, I've done it once, I don't need to do it again?
Absolutely. And 100% I've fallen into that trap. There's sometimes where you're almost going, how have you not got this yet? And you can find it, but then, you know, it's not the little guy's fault. I mean, there's 2 things on this. Firstly, when I was a PE leader, when I was a head of PE, I used to really empower my staff to have that flexibility in their curriculum delivery. Yeah, we've got this lovely scheme of work. It's 8 weeks. We're on cricket. You need to do 2 weeks of batting, 2 weeks of bowling, 2 weeks of fielding, and then we do 2 weeks of gameplay.
Classic.
If you move on from that 2 weeks of bowling before they can bowl, then what was the point doing the bowl in the first place? So you might need to do 3 weeks. You might even need to do 4 weeks. You might do it all through playing games. There's different ways to skin the cat. And I really tried to empower my team to really use their observation of how quickly the children are picking up the key skills, the fundamentals, what is being taught in that particular lesson. And if they need longer on it, run with it. They don't have to kind of have this rigidity of a scheme of work and think, I need to change it. I need to get through this, then I need to get through that. As long as the engagement's there, as long as the fun's there, as long as the movement's there, as long as the learning's there, I really tried to have our schemes of work as a bit of a skeleton, and then they chose where to put the meat on the skeleton. Secondly, as well, is that and this is a key kind of message to get across to all PE teachers, is we used to have player cam. So Sky Sports used to show the football in England, and they used to have a player cam, and it used to just focus on one player and follow them around the pitch. I often tried to get across to my trainees that if you player cammed one child in your lesson, how many times do they actually make contact with that particular skill or that object that they're trying to do? Let's say that it's cricket bowling. If you watched Callum and you had a camera on him for the entire lesson, how many balls does he actually do? Now, if he's only in that 45-minute lesson bowling the ball 4 times, no wonder Callum is struggling to develop his bowling, because he's only bowled 4 balls in 45 minutes. Your design, your structure, what are your groupings like? What's the space that you're using? Could we do bowling inside the sports hall so the ball hits the wall as opposed to rolling 400 yards down the massive hill on the field? Like, thinking about all of those pedagogical elements might turn Callum's experience of bowling from 4 repetitions in 40 minutes to 60 repetitions in 40 minutes because he's bowling, and there's different challenges, there's target areas to hit. He's looking to hit leg stump, he's looking to hit off stump, he's doing a bit of seam, he's doing it out the back of the blah, 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 blah. But thinking about, like, I mean, the core question going back to what you said, Andre, was about like thinking the children are not as good as they are and like taking longer for stuff to be picked up. But sometimes that's at the fault of the teacher. That's the structure of that lesson, not giving them the frequency and the repetition needed to learn a skill. I think about when, to go back to, I'm going off on a tangent here, it's just popped into my head. Basically, on my teaching practice, I was given year 9 javelin. And I was given a year 9, I'd never thrown a javelin in my life. My school didn't do javelin, but I was about to be let loose with some spears with 14-year-old kids in the middle of a field, so I had to go out and learn it. I had to get a YouTube video on my phone. I had to stand in a field 2 or 3 days before, because I was keen that I wanted the children to look at me and feel safe, but also have that respect where it's like, yeah, Mr. Holden can throw a javelin. He's gone away and he's been able to demonstrate this particular skill. And even when I was learning to throw a javelin, I got onto that field after school and I had other PE staff looking at me thinking, who is that loser? Why is he stood in the middle of the field with a javelin in his hand at like 5:30? School's been finished for 2 hours. But it took me like 30 throws of the javelin and watch the YouTube video and change my grip and change my stance and have a play around with it like this to learn that skill as a 22-year-old lad. Never mind that child who does no sport outside of school at all, who's 9 years old. And we get frustrated when they can't pick something up immediately. Yeah, because they're going to need that repetition to be able to develop that skill. So building that into your lesson to lesson, but also your unit of work is absolutely huge.
Absolutely. And I agree. And I think we as teachers, we need to remember that we are not good at every sport, and that's okay. We love PE, we love movement, but I totally agree in your example that we have to go back and do a bit of our own research and a bit of our own practice as well. If I was doing every PE lesson, it's going to be basketball. Basketball's and netball are two of my favorite sports, and particularly everyone looks at me funny when I say I love baseball so much. As an Australian, saying that they love baseball, it's a bit unusual, but I would totally do baseball units all the time. But we can't do what we want, and we have to continue to expose them and expose us as well. Like you said, if we haven't done anything in years, we have to go back and even retrain ourselves in that sense as well. Now, Ben, I want to touch on Want to Teach PE. I've been doing a bit of digging into this, and I love what you're doing, and I love how global your influence and knowledge and spread is going with this program. I want to know all about it. Tell us all about Want to Teach PE.
So Want to Teach PE, obviously the name, it all started because I was, as I've said at the start of the podcast, kind of frustrated with the new generation, and I wanted to provide that realism about what teaching PE was all about. So through that, the Want to Teach PE book was born. 26 chapters, A to Z guide. Now, when I read, I have like 10, 15 minutes where I concentrate, where I'm focused, and then I either have to be a parent, I have to be a son, I have to be a husband, and something else gets in the way. So Want to Teach PE is 26 really quick chapters that I think you can pick it up, digest it, get on with your day. So that's how the book was born. And then it's evolved into me making that transition from full-time head of PE to educational consultant. I think that what makes me unique, certainly in the educational consultant space, is that I'm still actively practicing in schools. I'm getting out there and teaching. I think there's nothing worse, and I'm sure your listeners will agree, when you go to some PD or some training and some guy sat in front and you look and think, when were you last in the classroom? It's all well and good you saying this, but you haven't taught a lesson for 20 years. And now I think that I do practice what I preach. For example, my next 5 days of my calendar, I'm in a primary school in the Northeast tomorrow. I'm teaching my Around the World in Sporty Ways workshops, some Gaelic football, some Aussie rules, some kabaddi, American football from year 1 to year 6. Then I'm driving down.
So underrated, by the way. Kabaddi is so underrated.
What a sport. Unbelievable. Non-contact kabaddi, the strategy, the movement, the excitement, the energy. And look, we've already talked. I'm coming out there to Australia and we're going to showcase the Want to Teach PE kabaddi style for your team out there,
Yes.
and we're going to smash it. We're going to do it. All right.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, like to go. My next week is primary school tomorrow, secondary schools Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, back into a primary school on Friday, all around the UK, getting in there and walking the walk and talking the talk. Like that. That's what Wanna Teach PE is. Hopefully people look and think, you know what? We can see the guy's passion. We can see from his facial expressions, his body language, how he really does care about making these memorable experiences for young people. And that's what I try and do when I speak at conventions, when I work with PE departments, try and get that injection of energy back into them. I worked on a secondary school CPD about 3 months ago, bearing in mind it's like, you know, crunch time in the UK, examination season. Everybody was shattered. These members of staff, this had brought me in after school. It was red hot outside, and I had the body language. They came in and they were dragging the feet. And I think that sometimes that bringing me in for a bit of CPD can kind of revitalize people and bring, you've mentioned that word 10 times on this podcast, fun, and getting the members of staff to remember their why. Now, we forget that. That's what Wanna Teach PE is all about. I try and get in there, speaking to professionals to get them to tune back in and realize once again their why. What makes them get out of bed in the morning? It isn't the money, because none of us would be in teaching if it was the money. It's the holidays are nice. No one's going to deny the holidays are nice. But when you're stood in front of 30 year 8s in November in the UK and it's raining outside and your sports hall's been taken for your exam desks, that really does ask you why. Like, why do I do this job? And revisiting and remembering that it's about those young people. It's you value high quality PE from your child. Certainly I do. I look back really fondly on my childhood growing up and my experiences of PE. And that has set the foundation and the platform that I'm a physically literate adult. And I want all of my children to have those positive experiences and develop into physically literate adults. And those key messages are what I try and get into all of the practice of Wanna Teach PE, be it a convention, be it a conference, be it a webinar, be it the book and the content of Wanna Teach PE and the latest release, which is Wanna Lead PE. That's what I try and get across to everybody that I work with. And hopefully the bits that people see on socials kind of echo what I'm trying to do in the day-to-day.
Mm. And it's not just for PE teachers as well. I think particularly in primary, it's for everyone. I think we get locked into, PD for PDHPE is just for the PE teachers. It's not, because we know what we're doing. And, I love getting your energy, Ben, and, giving us that extra push on the backside because we need it. But I think as well for, classroom teachers and even members of leadership, it really reminds them of why we do what we do as well, and that it's fun and it's engaging and it's people's highlight of the day. Now, Ben, I would quickly wanted to mention as well that you do have another book, I Wanna Lead PE. Can we quickly just touch on that before we go?
Of course we can. I hate these bits of the podcast because it sounds like, he's only brought him on to talk about his book. He hasn't. We've talked about lots of other stuff.
Absolutely.
This is so organic. But yeah, no, Wanna Lead PE, really quickly, is the natural successor to Wanna Teach PE. The idea was that Wanna Teach PE came out in 2022. We're now 4 years down the line, and those teachers that were just making those first steps 4 or 5 years ago are potentially thinking about their first steps into PE leadership. Obviously, I was a head of PE for 10 years, lived experience leading a brilliant PE department in the Northeast. So I wanted to try and get, once again, same style as Wanna Teach PE, 26 quickfire chapters about lots and lots of different key topics: how to engage girls, how to mentor different members of staff, how to ensure that practice is inclusive, how to manage your budget, how to develop an extracurricular program, how to build a positive culture. Because a lot of PE leaders will go into a new school where the PE culture might not be there, or it might not be particularly positive. So there's guidance and support, how leaders can look to really inject that energy and revitalize a PE department as well. And I'm so proud of this one because I've independently published this as well. So yeah, if your readers are excited, they're both on Amazon. Wanna Teach PE, Wanna Lead PE. And yeah, if I can do a quick shout out for the socials, I keep pretending I'm a Gen Z because I'm on TikTok. My daughter cringes audibly every day that her dad is on TikTok. But yeah, Wanna Teach PE on TikTok, on Instagram. I'm Ben Holden on LinkedIn. just encourage your listeners to reach out. If there's anything I can do to support, just all it takes is a quick message. We'll build up a conversation. And hopefully this podcast is just the start of a positive relationship with PDHPE, and we can get myself out there to work with all you beautiful people sometime soon.
Absolutely, Ben. And I was just going to echo everything you've said. We, as in Australia, as a PDHPE Teachers Association, we definitely will want to put on the platform, who's supporting PDHPE. And, regardless of where you are around the world, we want to hear about passionate individuals like you who are really making a difference in the space, inside the classroom, outside the classroom. And I think what makes your program so valuable is that you are one of us. You are still one of us that are still practicing, still in the schools. You know exactly what we're going through, our trials, our tribulations, the assessments, syllabus changes, all that. You are still one of us, which is what we love. Ben, this has been so good. I bloody love this so much. Thank you so much for hopping on the show. Now, before I go, Ben, I was going to say, as a PE teacher, are you a coffee drinker?
I love a strong Americano on most days, but maybe a mocha if I'm feeling particularly loose.
Yeah, I'm getting to the point now where I'm having a coffee in the morning and a coffee before midday. It's getting to that point where I just need that real kick. So it's good to know you're still one of us, coffee drinker. Ben, this has been absolutely fantastic. Like I said, I'll put all your details in our show notes. Everyone, my name is Andre. This is Ben Holden, and you've been listening to PDHP Pulse. We will catch you later.